Yo, welcome to another episode of Under the Surface, a talk show where we talk all things Bazaar. Today we are going to discuss the new expansion for Vanessa. We will talk about usefulness of the items, where they fit in, and our current experiences with them. So without further ado, let's dive under the surface. We are going to talk about new expansion for Vanessa called The Gang. However, I would like to make a quick note about the previous episode because we were talking about the Dultron expansion. I don't know, it just feels silly that, we made all those predictions and provided our opinions, and then 2 days later they, reworked all of those items. I mean, not all of those, but like the situation that we are in right now after the patch is definitely different than when we were discussing the items for the dually. But most of the stuff still stands, I think. Most of our opinions.
Yeah, I think his cards are just from what I glanced at, because I haven't played the new patch. It just seems like he's a little weaker, basically.
Yeah,
so...
like I would summarize this as bugs now start at silver, so they are a bit weaker, but cores are probably more versatile right now. And also, I'm not sure if you have not noticed, but they give you the core, or well, a core at level 3, not at the start of the run.
Yeah, I saw that. I was pretty shocked they made such a big change. I thought maybe they were kind of done with that, but it seems like a good change. I haven't played it yet, so.
Yeah, I was focused on Vanessa right now to be sort of prepared for our discussion, but I definitely want to try it out. Yeah, first question for you. Do you like the Vanessa expansion, the gang, in general?
Yeah, I really like a lot of the cards in this. I'm a little bit biased because I really like Vanessa as a hero, and she's pretty much my main. So yeah, I really enjoyed playing with these cards, and I think it mixes up her gameplay in a really interesting way.
Okay.
How do you feel?
I like the items, maybe not all of them, but I like them in general. Like, I like the idea of them. However, if I were to compare that to Duali's expansion, like Duali's expansion had like clear archetype in mind, sort of. It was all about assembling the Dultron Megazord and the 5 bugs and all the crowd control effects. It was like a whole package. It was cohesive. And he, with the gang, I feel like there are support items mostly. There are some pieces which can fit into existing builds, but sometimes I feel like an item like, Mr. Richardson or Old Saltclaw or even Orange Julian are sort of like items that are in between. I don't feel like there's a reason to run them, like you want them on your board. Like sometimes you have to put them on your board, but there's no reason to like seek them out.
I get what you mean. And it's sort of and just like design wise, in terms of the fact that this is the gang, I kind of would anticipate, like you sort of predicted way back in the day that the first Vanessa expansion could be her crew and her just a bunch of monkey cards. And I sort of anticipated that a set of cards like this would be more coherent, like design wise too. Like piano is just kind of randomly there. It feels like I get the vibe they're going for, but yeah. And I agree with you, in terms of the actual what the cards do, because yeah, they're all just sort of like separate things. One or two might go in a build together and they're all kind of friend related, but that's sort of where it ends.
You mentioned this, it's all friend related. No, well, not all, because Captain's Quarters is definitely vehicle related, but yeah, it's mostly about friends. And to be fair, if I'm not mistaken, most of the friends that Vanessa has are poison based. I think the best friends that can be, used during a run deal poison, and all of those are, I think, mostly focused on weapons and weapon builds. I mean, card table is, I think, the best item in the whole set, and it's the most versatile because it gives multicast to friends. Well, find a friend that can carry you, like I did with Eels, and then give Eels multicast and you're set. I don't think that giving multicast to Mr. Richardson, Old Saltclaw, Orange Julian, or Calico would be like worth it.
Yeah, the build I found with card table was card table, shot glasses, and then mantis shrimp from the last expansion.
Mm-hmm.
And I had Sea Dog Saloon, I think, in there, and a couple other friends. And I think I had multiple mantis shrimp, and that build was kind of crazy. So there's a lot of like slow synergy sort of going on here. I really like the shot glasses item.
Yeah, I would
Um,
agree.
but it's a weird item because it like kind of does nothing. You know what I mean? In terms of what it like, it just
It's an
procs
enabler.
haste.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would consider shot glasses to be good in slow builds because they can grant you a lot of slow in one sort of activation and also a lot of haste in one activation. So Lighthouse likes it, Pufferfish likes it, as you said, Shrimp likes it. There are some applications for shot glasses, definitely, even though they sort of do nothing. But they are a cool support item, as I mentioned before, for other things. And yeah, Sea Dog's Saloon also could be. I mean, Sea Dog's Saloon is, I wouldn't say a better pylon, but it has a similar vibe because it also hastes and slows.
Yeah, true. Captain's quarters. I didn't get a chance to use this item, but it seems obvious to me just from first glance that it would probably go well with like a flagship build.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it seems like it's made for. I don't really know what else it would go with, but seems decent.
I tried it once. I actually had Captain's Quarters, Captain's Wheel, Flagship. I think there was the Silencer and one ammo item. I don't remember what it was. And in general, I like it because it has really short cooldown and it does a lot of small things. But at the same time, like the main part about it, in my opinion, would be hasting vehicles, charging tools, and giving your weapon damage. In that case, your flagship, right? However, I was unfortunate enough that I was not able to upgrade it in timely manner. So I was stuck with silver version and plus 20 damage on your flagship, even if it has ×4 multicast. That's 80 damage every activation of Captain's Quarters. Wasn't enough. Maybe if I had it at diamond, then maybe it would be okay. But at the same time, it is possible that me having Captain's Wheel in that build was unoptimal because Captain's Quarters already hastes vehicles. Captain's Wheel hastes, but it was also hasting my Captain's Quarters, to accelerate it faster. In my opinion, it would be cool if charging was swapped to, charging vehicles and hasting would be for tools, not the other way around. So in that situation, you could run Captain's Wheel without feeling like it's a dud, Essentially, after, trying it out, as I said, I'm not sure if my board was optimal. And also I had terrible skills. So maybe that was like a accumulation of different problems that I had there. But still, I feel like if I want a property on that board, I would choose Crow's Nest.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. I also really want to talk about Orange Julian because, I mean, come on, that's like top 10 card art in the entire game, right? Or item art.
Oh, yeah.
But the idea for this item is really cool, like in concept. And I tried to make it work multiple times. It didn't really work. And I mean, it's kind of obvious it would struggle because it is a really slow item. I forget what it starts at, like 11 or
11
seconds.
11 seconds, and it goes down to 9, I think.
Yeah, and so I don't know, because like the build you would use it in, since it gives your weapons damage based on like how much gold you've gained while you've had the item, right? So, but it's kind of a weird card because normally in a like heavy damage build, you're just trying to look to kill quick. A 10 or 9 second item even that does that really isn't quick. I couldn't really make it work. Like I couldn't get I had like a few okay builds. Like I used it twice, so like I think I got to 7 wins both times with it, but it can't make the extra distance because I don't know, it just there's nothing a freeze dually or something just goes off and then all your items are frozen and he never even goes off. So something like that,
Yeah, as you said, Orange Julian is obviously meant to go with weapon spam, right? Because you want to apply his buff to as many weapons as you can. But weapon spam usually relies on, taking down an opponent quickly. So you cannot really afford to wait 10 seconds for being able to actually deal damage. Because in that situation, your opponent has enough time to set up either the defenses or they will gun you down themselves, right? I don't know, there's this dissonance between the effect and, well, the cooldown, right? In one weapon build, it also doesn't really make sense because it's inefficient. So maybe if you can get it early, then you could, run it for like 2 or 3 days and then sell it. But yeah, I also don't feel like it's that good. Like, I tried to run it with piranhas. I mean, I won like once and then I decided that it's not worth it, so I swapped out of it.
I wanted to make it work so bad because I like the card a lot, but it's just not there. But I sort of agree with you. I think card table is at least the item I felt was the most useful, I guess, because like you said, you sort of find a friend that can go crazy and then you throw card table on the board and you try to like limit your number of friends, maybe just to that one if you really can.
Mhm.
And then you just sort of win.
To be
That's how it
fair,
feels to
we
me.
have piano, which makes adjacent items friends. So there is a situation where you could, make something a friend, just, stick googly eyes on it and call it a day. And then with a card table, you can give it multicast and maybe there's some combo there waiting. But I mean, I like that Tempo is introducing items that give tags to other items, like we had this diving helmet in the previous expansion that gives adjacent items aquatic tag, but I'm not sure if I can, like, I personally don't ever feel like I can afford 2 slots to just make something different.
Yeah, I pretty much feel the same way. Like I've never used the diving helmet or the piano, and I know diving helmet can be good in certain circumstances and stuff, but I never feel like it's worth it to change items to a different tag. But I never even saw a piano when I was playing this time around. Like the few Vanessa games I played, I'm not sure if I just got unlucky or what, but I would love to have card table and then piano and then have a boulder next to the piano.
But is it? I'm not sure. That would probably be an overkill. But I think that giving something like sniper rifle a friend treatment and then giving it multicast, that could work.
Yeah, I just want the boulder to be my friend though.
Your pet rock.
True. He's all grown up.
While we are discussing the topic of giving items other tags, new thrusters are, I think, a good example of it, because thrusters now give item to the left a vehicle tag. And I think that would be a cool idea, cool solution to that situation, because I feel like sacrificing only one slot to giving a tag to a adjacent item to the left, that particular tag, is much likelier, like in my situation at least, in this sense that if I could get thrusters and then make something a vehicle, then I feel like captain's quarters in this situation could also work. You make something a vehicle and then go ahead, captain's quarters for the win. So in this situation, I feel like piano could be sort of squished to a 1 slot item, and then it would give friend to only left item,
Yeah, because also like you're probably wanting to target one specific item and not 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it just sort of reins it in. Sea Shadow is another interesting item.
Oh, I love it.
It's a really cool concept. I don't know, like I used it a little bit. I don't know, like that and what's the other item that's similar to it? A card table. They're basically the same concept. Like they do something really OP, but then they increase their own cooldown. I don't know. I really love the introduction of that sort of mechanic.
Also, the very important thing to say right now is that things that have passive cooldown reductions, like for example Star Chart, they work continuously throughout the fight. So after your, for example, card table increases its cooldown, the new cooldown is also decreased by, for example, 15% or whatever your Star Chart is at that moment. Essentially, it won't be increased, for example, by 4 seconds, but let's say 3.5. That's something to bear in mind. Back to the Sea Shadow. I used it once actually, and I wasn't that successful with it, but I had this sort of silly combo where I had water wheel, I had the weather glass, and also Sea Shadow and some other stuff, to boost my weather glass to give it more multicast. My Sea Shadow, reduced the cooldowns on the water wheel and on the weather glass, so they were accelerating faster and faster the longer the fight went on. And also the water wheel also gave haste to Sea Shadow, so it triggered also a bit faster.
Yeah, Sea Shadow, I didn't have a ton of success with it. Like I didn't have anything particularly crazy with it, but I feel like it's one of those items that, there's just going to be times when you get it and it just fixes all your problems. And like I know we mentioned before we even got to this, expansion, that like what if you put a mirror next to it, and
Yeah,
had double Sea Shadow going on. So I'm really excited to see some wacky stuff like that with it.
I would like that as well. I think mostly those new items here are going to be the best utilized by other heroes. That's my opinion, but I cannot, guarantee that because I haven't seen that yet. One last thing about Sea Shadow that I like is that it's a vehicle. So it enables some skills or stuff like that.
Yeah, and the vehicle tag, I wanted to say this earlier whenever you were talking about vehicle with thrusters, like how it adds a vehicle tag, but that tag is just sort of underutilized in general with these heroes. So it's always nice to see a new vehicle.
We will have to wait for Stell to have proper vehicle sort of support. I think she's going to be mostly about tools and vehicles.
Yeah.
I wanted to bring up Calico because in between all those 4 friends that are sort of like the gang, actually, I wouldn't consider Sea Shadow to be a part of the gang unless Sea Shadow is sentient, but that's something that we will have to learn from the lore team. Calico is actually a really good early game item. I'm not sure if you have noticed, but on the art, this cat person is wearing, the shark claws, I assume. And shark claws, like the actual item, pairs really well with Calico, because shark claws give Calico damage, and Calico gives itself crit chance. And it has, double damage from crits. So, it buffs itself. And during your first 3-4 days, you can actually pull through with those 2 items.
It's a good catch. I didn't even notice that in the art. I was too distracted by the cat lady. But
is that a lady? Are you? I have no idea if that's a lady, but
well, yeah, but I was also like, that was the next thing I was about to say, is that I used Calico a few times just kind of as an extra slot or something. And yeah, I mean, if you have, she's basically like piranhas that bust itself, sort of. So
yeah, it has a similar property, but you need other weapons to buff its critical chance. But without any buffs for Calico, I don't think that just giving her, I assume, as you said, I'm going to trust you on this, only giving her crit chance, I don't think it's going to be enough. Unless you have a skill that, gives your leftmost, rightmost, like plus 20 or 30 damage, and you put her on the edge of your board. In that situation, it could be all right, but I seriously, recommend getting Calico and Shark Claws fairly early into your run, and you can squeeze 1 or more wins to get you started.
Did you play Mr. Richardson or Old Salt Claw at all?
I mean, I used Mr. Richardson once or twice because I needed a friend for my flagship, but not because I wanted him there. And Salt Claw, well, I don't know, you need to haste or slow, so obviously shot glasses are cool to put next to him, and also Sidiok's Saloon works well with him, but I haven't tried that yet. Maybe it's actually a pretty cool synergy and maybe it works. Maybe Salt Claw can actually carry, but I haven't tried that yet.
Yeah, when I did, for part of that build I did with the Mantis Shrimp, I had them on my board for a bit, but it doesn't really feel worth it whenever you just want, you have a card table and you just want that to be multiplying your Mantis Shrimp. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's a little bit of the problem with all this, kind of like we said. But I mean, these cards are sort of the same thing, except one shields and one gains shield and one gains damage. But yeah, they're interesting, I guess.
Yeah, I guess you wanted to bring up the issue with their names, so I'll allow you to do it right now.
Yeah, so we have Orange Julian. Like you look at that and you're like, yeah, that's Orange Julian. I know that guy. And Old Salt Claw, you're like, I mean, that's Old Salt Claw. Like there's no other name for that guy. And the same thing with the other new friends we have here. But then you have Mr. Richardson. And it doesn't, I mean, the first time I saw this guy, I never thought his name was Mr. Richardson. It's just a weird name for a little monkey guy, in my opinion.
I mean, that name sounds like a middle-aged man with a bald spot that works in your office.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. Like he should have a little monkey name. So if everybody else has funny names, you know what I mean? Like, or maybe Calico and Old Salt Claw go by like pirate names, and Mr. Richardson just goes by like his government issued name. Maybe he's just cool like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I think that either giving him more pet-like name would be cool, or going over the top and just giving him some ridiculous name. Like, I mean, we could leave Mr. Richardson, but like maybe add Mr. Richardson the third, or like I don't know, Mr. Cecil Richardson or whatever, you know.
Make it like really long. Like give him like another title before it, and then a first and middle name, and then like the third.
Yeah, exactly. And then his initials could spell something funny as well.
Yeah, Tempo. This game's literally unplayable with his name, Mr. Richardson. I might have to get a refund.
Oh no.
It's just not consistent.
Yeah, I think there's a room for improvement.
Old Salt Claw for some reason gives me Mr. Krabs vibes, but I don't know if that's just me.
I mean, Old Salt Claw is a crab, and Mr. Krabs is a crab. So there might be similarities there.
Maybe they're cousins.
That's it from us. I think that's our take on the new gang for Vanessa. Tell us what you think about new Vanessa expansion. What's your favorite item? Who's your favorite friend? You know, I feel like Orange Julian is a easy choice, but tell us. Thanks for watching. I guess you may subscribe or like or even comment, as I asked you just a second ago. And yeah, we'll see you on Thursday on Blake's channel. Yeah. So bye.
See ya.